Moi B B. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Far Out Wisdom Podcast. Hypocrite. The man who murdered both his parents pleaded mercy on the grounds he was an orphan. Abraham Lincoln. That quote I came across today while I was doing a little bit of research of what I want to talk about today. And I want to talk about a man named Carlos Maza. Carlos Maza was a journalist who worked with Vox. Vox News is a far-left mainstream media outlet, and I used to follow their work until they went crazy and talk about some weird-ass shit. And there was a recent drama that a journalist from the New York Post exposes his background. Carlos Maza calls himself a Marxist, but at the same time, in his recent YouTube video, he said that he was a center-right person. And how can they balance the two? Well, you can't balance the two. You can't be a liberal and a Marxist at the same time. It's an oxymoron. It contradicts each other. It doesn't work. And it turns out that his father and mother divorced. His father marrying a social worker, he's a high school teacher, and then his mother married a billionaire. His stepfather earned his monies doing tech stuff. Basically, his mother married into wealth, and so he's a wealthy guy. And Carlos Maza, and I don't have a particular problem with socialists, and I'm not generalizing all socialists to be this way because I know some, and they come from backgrounds similar as mine, so you can see why they want to fight for the working class and things like that. But the thing that doesn't make any sense, and I really want you guys to think about it, the thing about the American socialists is they claim to fight for the working class, but Carlos Maza, he wants to destroy the working class who are right-wing. Who do you think the working class are? They're right-wing people here in America, in the United States of America. And this is the problem that I have with American socialists, is because they live in a very small world. They're protected in their little bubble. And I can make the argument, and I've seen this many times already. The socialists here in the United States of America are from upper middle class families. They never came from a background just like me. I'm a working class woman. And like I mentioned before, I don't make any money in this podcast. I don't want to run any ads. I'm paying this podcast out of my own pocket. Okay? And I do a regular job every night. I work in the evenings. I don't have mommy and daddy to support me. I pay all my bills by my own labor. Okay? I don't have time to sit and make YouTube channels or record podcasts every day because I didn't came from money. I don't have my mom and dad to support me because they were refugees from Cambodia who escaped the Cambodian genocide, which was committed by the Marxists, the Hungarian Marxists. And I know talking about things like this, I shouldn't be really angry, but it just grinds my gear when you have these rich, spoiled brats who believe they know what suffering is. And sure, you can make the argument that Karl Maza, a homosexual man, faced discrimination or being bullied or things like that, but this person has connection in the tech industry, and he can shut me down if he wants to, and he got somebody Twitter account shut down. So he's using his privilege to cause destructions and chaos. And this is why I don't like individuals like Karl Maza. I don't hate the guy. I don't hate him. But the thing that disgusts me is his mendacious, narcissistic, hypocritical view or perspective on the world. And I think in his heart, I believe he wants to do good. But Thomas Fuller said this: "He who does not believe, who does not live according to his belief." That guy does not understand working 9 to 5, living paycheck to paycheck, being on food stamps, driving shitty ass car. This guy lived in upper state New York in a very expensive apartment complex. He never had to live with roaches or bed bugs or dealing with discrimination and racism and things like that from the landlords. He had never ever went to a public education system and understand the whole how we are treated in the public education system. Because, quite frankly, the state doesn't care about your education. They just care about getting federal funding. And I can go on and on and on. It's the moral superiority that disgusts us, that makes me want to vomit, and that makes me nauseous. And I think too much protection, too much of a shield from the world made Maza and the following American socialists the way that they are. And it gives them
preach,
a
girl.
sense of destruction, a craving for idealistic revolutionary tendencies. And that's what they want. Because of the fact that they were protected by mommy and daddy all their lives, that they don't have chaos. Has Carlos Maza ever been shot at like I have? Have Karl Maza ever seen his brother come home with a wound in his face that was stabbed by a gang member? Has he ever seen his father drink himself almost to death and shitting himself? Has he seen any of that? Has he ever seen poverty? That we have to sell drugs to get by? Has he ever been on food stamp? Has he ever have to starve for about a week before your food stamps come in? No. He doesn't understand any of that. And this is where the revolutionary ideas came from. Because when you talk to people who are poor, majority of them, they don't want a fucking communist in power. Okay? You want... See, the thing that really confuses me. Socialists or Marxists like Maza, they want to fight for the working class, right? But they put obstacle along the way, like higher taxes and things like that along the way, where if you are poor, you qualify for social services. But then if you work into the middle class, you're paying out the ass and you can't really go up. You have a higher chance of being homeless than a millionaire. And a lot of people don't understand that the problem that we have here in California are due to the Democrats and their shitty policies. So if you work your way to the middle class, you get choked with bills after bills. I mean, you don't qualify for social services, but you can't really afford anything at the same time. You have to like pay for like the shitty stuff. So there's no initiative to work your way up when you can just be poor and get social services. Now, I'm not saying that being poor is you're going to be rich, but come on. You get, and I can speak from experience, that you get all your medical bills paid, you get food stamp and things like that, you get fed. And so nobody wants to work anymore. Nobody has the work ethics anymore. So individuals like Maza, they live in a moral superiority complex, the holier than art thou attitude, the arrogance that they have, humans pretending they're gods and goddesses, and it always meant with the same thing: destruction, i.e. the Roman Empire. They always fall. I'm not talking about empire as in the whole cities or anything like that, but I'm talking about the empire of the individual, okay? And they always end up falling. Who do you think Pol Pot was? Who do you think Che Guevara was? Fidel Castro, Mao Zedong, Joseph Stalin, Lenin. They were all came from wealthy backgrounds. Amen. And they end up just wanting fucking power on the backs of the poor. And it's happening over and over again, and people just fall for their bullshit. So when I come across these arrogant socialists, it just grinds my gear because of the hypocrisy. They don't live to what they believe in. They don't understand what they're fighting for. It's idealistic. They just want power. And how do you get power? You deceive people. And these guys are smart. They know what they're doing. They want to pretend like they understand the working class, but they don't understand anything about the working class, because if they really did, they wouldn't have to kill 100 million people. And that's what the communists did. They need your labor to stay in power. Amen. They need to stand on the backs of you, your blood, your sweat, your tears. They need that to fuel their power and their thirst for chaos. And I never really understood that part. I never really understood why when people want to do good things, they always end up doing worse. And this is the case of Maza and things like that. They just hurt everybody in the process. And there's a thing that happened called the YouTube purge. And this was because of Maza. I think this happened, I believe, last year, where he had a disagreement with YouTube over Steven Crowder. Steven Crowder is a conservative pundit. I'm not really a fan of him either, because I think he's obnoxious. But Maza wanted to take everybody out in the process because he's not used to people calling out his bullshit because of his little empire that he lived in. You know, I think in the middle of their idealistic revolutionary pursuits, they start to come to the realization that being a good person costs a lot of energy and time. And they don't understand that part. And when they do, they start to get really angry. Well, why do the people want more stuff? Well, there's always going to be a need. And I'm not making an argument for capitalism or anything like that, because I believe there's a flaw as well. We have issues under the capitalist system. Now, my podcast, the Far Out Wisdom podcast, is not to talk about economic things like that, but do you see how messed up everybody is? I mean, we're just making everybody worse. Jean-Paul Sartre said that hell is other people. And when we come to the realization, or we start to understand that we are just making each other feel shitty, maybe we can make the world a better place. But it's just, oh my God. People from both sides, is just, when we start to remove that more superiority complex, that what we believe is right, when we start to live our philosophy, when we start to live our beliefs and values and practice what we preach, then the world will probably be a better place. If people stop talking and start doing. And I never really will understand things like that. And my own dad was similar. And I remember my mom always say, he wants to lecture us about being a good person, but this man is not a good person himself. Who is he to tell me what I need to do with my life? And she does make a good point. And I'm not, doing this podcast, I'm not telling you guys what to do with your lives. I'm not doing that. I'm just having a conversation with you. That's all I'm doing. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money. I'm not going to do anything like that. Heck, I don't even ask you guys for donations or anything like that during the podcast. I'll do it down in the description below. To just the content. I'll just make it about the content. And this is just from my experience, and this is just the wisdom that I want to share with you guys. The person who is genuinely a good person are the ones who don't take credit for anything that they do. Those are good people. They're the last one to tell you they're a good person. And those are the ones that you want to surround yourself with. Not Marxists like Karl Marx. And like I said, not all Marxists are like that. Actually, in all honesty, if I could choose which Marxist to surround myself with, it's probably be the follower of Leon Trotsky, and that's just my opinion. They're much easier to talk to than the Marxist-Leninists or the Maoists. It's because the fucking arrogance, can't stand those people. And why can't people just be honest of their background? Why can't people just like Maz, you can't make the argument that you hate billionaires when you are a billionaire yourself. When you are the bourgeoisie. You're not the proletariat. You're not the working class. How do you think people like me and everybody who's your critic sees you as? You're a hypocrite. A hypocrite. And if people start to re-examine themselves and look at themselves in the mirror and understand where they're coming from and their background and things like that. I don't dislike Maza at the fact that he's rich. In fact, I don't care you're rich. I have rich friends. I have poor friends. I have working class friends, black friends, Asian friends, whatever. I have no beef with you if you make money. Is the fact that you want to call out other people's bullshit, but when people call out your bullshit, you have a problem with it, and then you use your connection to silence them. You are a William motherfucker. It's just those people just really annoys the shit out of me. They really do, and I hope, and I want you, listener, to call it out. Every time you see somebody who don't practice what they preach, call them out. Call me out, Call me out on my bullshit. Correct me. And that's in my personal opinion, in my philosophy, is to re-examine yourself first before you even have the balls or even the audacity to call out other people's bullshit. It's when you do it yourself. I mean, all the things that you see as bad, I'm pretty sure you have done it yourself. And of course, some people's like, I haven't cheated on my wife or anything like that. No. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that when you want to put rules on other people, when you have this, when you're like fucking Moses and try to have this 10 commandments and put it on other people, but you don't want to follow yourself, you're a hypocrite. Baby Jesus, can I get an amen? And so that's what I want to talk about today. And I remember, guys, don't be a hypocrite. Think your ideas thoroughly, your experiences and things like that. And before you spew your bullshit out onto other people, remember you're not the one being, it's just, I'm a bullshitter myself sometimes. And so I can tell when somebody's bullshitting me, if that makes sense. So sometimes or later on down the line, somebody's going to call out your bullshit too. So you better think on your feet. Somebody's going to notice that you are lying and you're not speaking from your heart. And for some odd reason, people fall for that shit. I don't know why. I guess it's just their ability to be deceptive and they're good at it. As always, guys, remember to speak the truth. Just speak the truth. Just be truthful. Even though it makes you feel like shit about yourself, and that's the point of self-development, is to start with yourself. As always, guys, stay far out. Bye.